Hello and welcome to the chronic low back pain flow. This is perfect for anybody that is suffering from low back pain for years. If you are having an acute flare-up, this probably is not the right flow for you to do today. Check out my acute low back pain flow and then come back to this one when your back has settled down. Let's get started in cat-cow. So I want you to go on your hands and your knees, and I want you to just arch your back as you look up to the sky. Round your back as you look down to the ground, and just keep going back and forth in your full range of motion. If you're noticing that there's significant pain at end range, just don't go quite so far. Don't push through the pain. A little bit of discomfort is okay though. Now I want you to come back to tabletop, and I want you to push your hands into the ground so that you're pushing into your shoulder blades. And I want you to just do cat-cow with your low back. So you can see how I'm arching my low back and then tucking my pelvis. And I want you to find kind of this neutral position and then hold there. If you have a broomstick, a hiking pole or something, I want you to grab that now, and I want you to place it on your back. When you're in tabletop, you should have 3 points of contact. I want it touching at the back of your head, in between your shoulder blades and your sacrum. Good. So holding there, can you hover your right hand from the ground? Holding here, this is activating your core, and then place that down and then hover your left hand. If you have that pull, if you have something on your back, maintaining those 3 points of contact, awesome, good. That will really help prevent you from shifting side to side. And then hover your right knee. Good. Hopefully you feel your core working, hopefully, and that you don't feel any pain in your low back. Good. And then switch sides. Left knee lifts, hovering it here. Good. All right, and now what we're going to do is we're going to hover your right hand and then reach your right hand forward. Hold 3, 2, 1, and relax. Hover your left hand. Extend your left hand. Hold. And relax. And then hover your right knee. Sure. Good. Extend your right leg. And switch. Good. Hover your left knee. Extend your left leg. And then bring it down. Good. So that's a really good exercise to do to strengthen your low back. And now let's stretch our hip flexors. So let's have you bend your left knee first. And I want you to do kind of a couple cat-cows with your low back again. And now tuck your pelvis, flattening your low back, shifting your hips forward until you feel a stretch on the front of that right thigh. And let's just shift forward and back a couple times. Maybe walking that left foot forward. And then holding where you feel a stretch while maintaining that flattened low back. And breathing here. We often have really tight hip flexors because we sit most of the day. So we want to work on stretching our hip flexors to take some of that pressure off of our low back. We're going to couple that with thoracic rotation. So place your hands on the inside of your left knee, pushing your left hand into your left knee. Reach your right arm out to the side as far as you can, and then bring it back. We're going to do 5 of these. 2, 3, 4, and 5. Good. All right, switch sides. Right foot comes forward. Tuck your low back a couple times. Tuck and hold. And then shift forward until you feel a stretch in that front left thigh. Or in the front of your left thigh. Good. And then we'll shift forward a few times, just so you can feel all of those muscle fibers lengthening, and find a good position to stay at. Keep that low back flat. Place your hands on the inside of your right knee. Push your knee and your right hand together, and then reach your left arm out to the side. That's good. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Good. All right, now we're going to do one of my favorite moves, hip waves. So you're going to bring your feet out as wide as you can, knees out wide, keeping your chest pointed towards me. Roll both knees to one side, and then roll them to the other side. And let's just keep going back and forth. Good. Tight hips can be a big contributing factor to low back pain. So if we get your hips moving better, that will hopefully take pressure and pain off your low back. So let's stay to this side. And now I want you to hinge forward over your right leg and then square up towards me again. Hinge forward and square up. One more time. Hinge forward and square up. Good. And then windshield back and forth a couple times. And then stopping on the opposite side. Hinge forward. And then square up. So this is stretching internal rotation on this leg. Hinge forward, external rotation on this leg. Good. All right, a couple more. So now that we got our hips moving better, we want to make sure that we have strong hip extension. So we're going to go on our back and we're going to do bridge pose. So you're going to bend your knees, and I want you to lift your hips up and hold. And check in with your body and tell me what muscles do you feel working? Do you feel your core? Do you feel your hamstrings, your adductors, your hamstrings, your glutes, your low back? What do you feel moving or working? Do you have any pain in your low back? Now I want you to lower down, and I want you to squeeze your butt cheeks together as hard as you can, and we're going to do it 10 times. So we're trying to strengthen that connection from your brain to your glutes, getting your glutes to fire like they should, okay? So now squeeze your glutes, lift your hips up, and let's see, did that muscle engagement change? Do you feel less pressure in your low back now? Do you feel those glutes working more? If you do, that's a good thing. We shouldn't feel a lot of these other muscles working. It should really be our glutes that we're focusing on. If you're having a hard time, play around with bringing your heels maybe closer to your butt or a little farther away. Make sure that your knees and feet are about hip width apart. Okay, so we're gonna hold here, and then we're just gonna tap our booty to the ground and back up. So these are just kind of up and down bridges. And I want you to bring your arms in front of you so that you don't cheat with your elbows. Good. So the main point of this is just getting those glutes stronger and working on strengthening them. Good. So now let's keep our hips up and hold. If you don't have acute flare-up of your low back, try this next exercise. Keep your arms forward and straighten one leg. Can you do it? Look down and see if that straightened leg, if your hip dips. Keep holding and then switch sides. Straighten the other leg, look down. Is one side harder or easier than the other? Is this hip dipping? No? Okay. And then lift your hips back up and hold. So that is checking your pelvic, your lumbopelvic stability on one leg. When you're walking, when you're running, we're on one leg. And so making sure that you're strong on one leg alone is so important. If bridges are difficult to do, start with bridges and then work up to doing single leg bridges. Let's do a couple more up and down. Good. And then hold. If you can, straighten your right leg and then straighten your left and go back and forth. Good. Hold, last 3, 2, and 1. Lower down. Good. Maybe windshield your knees side to side a couple times. Now we are going to work on strengthening the front of our core. So when we did bird dog, that works a little bit more on the back of our core, our shoulders, our low back. This is going to work more on the front. So I want you to place your hands on your core. I want you to lift one foot and then the other, okay? And while you're here, try to keep breathing into your belly, into your hands. Point your toes up towards the ceiling. And I want you to also have just a very slight arch in your low back. So many people will tell you to bring your belly button to the ground, flattening your low back, and that's not necessarily what I want you to do. And I want you to have a slight arch in your low back. So I want you to place your hands on your lower ribs, and I want you to take a big breath in and then exhale as hard as you can, pushing those lower ribs down so that they're flat with your stomach, okay? And then the farther your knees are away from you, the more your core is working. The closer your knees are to you, the less your core is working. So let's find just that happy medium place right now. Maybe it's directly over your hips. Maybe they're a little bit closer to you. Whatever is totally fine. Keep breathing into your core, and I want you to tap one heel to the ground and then the other. And keep doing that. Feel your core engaged. Make sure that you're breathing into your hands. Check in with those ribs. Make sure that they're still anchored down. Good. And repeat. So now if we want, we can add our arms as well. Reach our arms forward and then reach one arm over your head and then the other. This time you can straighten one leg and then straighten the other. And then straighten your arm and your other arm. There's many progressions to dead bug. This is just kind of the most common and really efficient at working on strengthening your core. To get out of this position, place one foot on the ground and then the other. And then let's bring the soles of our feet together and our knees out wide. You can close your eyes and take a couple deep belly breaths. And I want you to run your hands along the inside of your thighs. Often I find that people have really tight adductors as well, and that could be a contributing factor to your low back pain. So if you find that your knees aren't able to go out very wide, or maybe one can and the other can't, this is all great information for you. You can use your fingers to massage those tight muscles. I recommend doing this before you go to sleep for a couple minutes, and maybe before you get out of bed for a couple minutes as well. Good. And then when you're ready, you're going to roll to your side and then push yourself up to sitting. We're going to go over two more things, which is going to be bending and squatting. So take that pole or the broomstick that you had, and you're going to place it behind you. And I want it touching those 3 points of contact behind your head, in between your shoulders and your sacrum. You're going to stand up, feet are nice and wide, knees are soft, and you're just going to bend forward and back up. And let's just keep doing this a few times. This is great to work on strengthening your low back and stretching your hamstrings. People know that they need to lift with their hips or their legs and not their low back. But oftentimes people don't know what that actually means or what it looks like. So right now, if I were to pick something up, I would be using my hips to lift. See what happens if I lift from my low back? I lose that contact on my sacrum, and that's when you put a lot of pressure on your low back. So if you do something in work where you're lifting constantly, or maybe you're picking up toys or just the house all day long, if you do it in this way, hinging from your hips and then bending your knees to get to the ground, you are going to be lifting from your hips, from your legs, sparing your low back. Awesome. And then the last thing we're going to do is squatting. So find a chair, and I want you to sit at the very edge of the chair. I want you to be sitting in both sit bones evenly with a slight arch in your back. And then I want your feet directly under your knees. I want you to lean slightly forward, keeping a nice straight spine, and stand up. Now I want you to sit back into that chair, sitting at the very edge. Good. So maybe what I want you to do this time is scoot a little bit more to the edge, or scoot your feet forward 1/2 inch, okay? And now stand back up. So this time it's really forcing you to sit back into those glutes, okay? And now we're just going to do some glute taps. So you're sitting down, tapping your booty, and coming right back up. Every time you sit or stand, you are doing a squat. And so I try to teach my patients that you can do it in a way that's going to strengthen your core, your back, and your hips, or you can do it in a way that over time can irritate your back and those muscles. And so it's probably better to get into the habit of doing it the correct way to strengthen your body. All right. And then come on down. So that was just a quick chronic low back pain flow. There's so many more exercises that would be beneficial for you, but hopefully this is a good start. And then the other thing to remember is just movement throughout the day. If you sit for your job, make sure that you stand every 30 to 45 minutes, do a couple stretches, and then sit back down. Try to go for a couple 15-20 minute walks throughout the day just to break up the monotony of sitting and not moving. I hope that this helps, and I hope that you get out of low back pain. Thank you.